On February 24, 1978, a car belonging to 5 intellectually disabled men was found idling, unlocked, and warm on a forest road in Plumas National Forest. The engine still running, the doors not forced, and the men nowhere. The heater was still blowing. Jack Madruga owned the car. He was 30 years old, and by most accounts a careful, responsible driver, the kind of man his mother trusted with her groceries and her schedule. He and his 4 friends, Jack Hewitt, Ted Weiher, Bill Sterling, and Gary Mathias, had driven that evening to California State University, Chico, to watch a basketball game. The Chico State Wildcats were playing UC Davis. The 5 men cheered, bought concessions, and were seen by witnesses leaving the arena around 10 in the evening. They were in good spirits. The game had gone their way. All 5 men had mild to moderate intellectual disabilities. They were connected through a community support program in Yuba City and spent time together regularly. Gary Mathias was different in one specific regard. His disability classification did not match the others. He had a documented history of schizophrenia, when managed by a regimen of prescribed psychiatric medication. He was 25. He had been doing well. His family said he seemed stable. The drive from Chico back to Yuba City should have taken roughly 40 minutes. It did not happen. Instead, Madruga's car traveled approximately 70 miles in the opposite direction, north and east, into the Sierra Nevada foothills, along increasingly narrow roads, up into Plumas National Forest, and onto a dead-end spur off Berry Creek Road. The road was steep, unpaved, and not the kind of route a GPS would suggest. It was not the kind of road you found by accident. Reaching it required a series of specific turns, each one taking the car further from anything familiar. The engine was still running when a passing motorist found the vehicle the following morning. There were no signs of struggle inside the car. No broken glass. No blood. No evidence that anything mechanical had failed or that anyone had been forced to stop. The doors were unlocked. The key was in the ignition. Whatever happened, it happened outside the car, in the dark, in February at elevation. Search teams moved into the forest over the following days. Conditions were brutal. Snow covered the terrain to depths that made ground searches nearly impossible in some areas, and the men had no cold weather gear, no survival equipment, and no food beyond what they might have had in their pockets leaving the arena. Searches found nothing. Not a footprint. Not a discarded wrapper. Not a voice. 3 of the 5 men, Hewitt, Sterling, and Madruga, were eventually found in June 1978, scattered across the terrain. Their deaths were attributed to exposure. The bodies told the story of men who had walked, stopped, and did not get up again. Roughly 19 miles from where the car was found, there was a Forest Service maintenance trailer. It was used by rangers in summer months and left stocked during winter closures. When investigators reached it in June 1978, they found something that did not fit neatly into any theory of what had happened. The trailer had been occupied. 25 pounds of food stored inside had been consumed. The propane heating system had been used. The beds showed signs of use. Someone or more than one person had been living there, surviving there, for what investigators estimated was a period of several weeks. Ted Weiher was still inside. He was on one of the cots. He had been dead for some weeks by the time he was found. He was severely malnourished, his body weight reduced to a point that indicated prolonged starvation. His feet and legs had sustained frostbite of such severity that his legs required amputation, performed post-mortem, to allow for coffin burial. The frostbite was advanced. It had progressed over a long period. He had been alive in that trailer for weeks, slowly dying from cold and starvation. Inside the trailer, there were matches. There was a wood stove, and there was firewood nearby. None of it had been used. The propane ran out at some point during his time there, and when it did, Wiha did not light the stove. He did not step outside to gather wood. He did not attempt to signal anyone. The food ran out. He remained on the cot. He was 32 years old. Investigators returned to one anomaly repeatedly. Wiha's shoes were missing. He had been wearing them when he left the arena. They were not found in the trailer. They were not found outside it. In the condition he was in, he could not have walked any meaningful distance. But the shoes were gone. Gary Mathias was not in the trailer. He was not found anywhere. Search teams covered the terrain. Dogs were deployed. Aerial surveys were conducted. No remains, no clothing, no personal effects. Nothing that had ever belonged to Mathias was recovered from anywhere in the forest. In the decades since 1978, he has not surfaced. No confirmed sighting. No record of contact with any service or institution. Searches found 4 of the 5 men. Mathias was not among them. His family reported that, in the days before the trip, he had been behaving differently. He had recently stopped taking his psychiatric medication. The timeline is documented. The effect of stopping that medication abruptly is also documented. What it might have looked like from inside his mind, on a dark road in a cold forest at elevation in February, is not. What is not documented, and has never been explained, is who navigated that car 70 miles into the mountains, why 5 men left a warm vehicle and walked 19 miles through snow in street clothes, and what, if anything, Gary Mathias understood about what was happening in that trailer, and whether he was the reason Ted Wiha never reached for the matches.